For the more than half of New Yorkers who rent their residence, access to secure and affordable housing is a top issue. That's why New York's capital city of Albany recently became the first city in the state to approve what's called good cause eviction. That makes it harder for landlords to evict tenants without a clear reason why. If there is not a good cause for eviction, a tenant could challenge their landlord in court. And lawmakers at the state level are considering similar legislation for when they return to Albany next year. Albany Common Councilman Alfredo Ballerin, who sponsored that measure in Albany, says that it protects both landlords and tenants.
Because if someone calls in a complaint, a landlord, how it currently is, a landlord could have removed somebody within 30 or 90 days based on the amount of time that they've lived in the property if they didn't have an existing lease. Or they can refuse to renew a lease based on somebody's complaint. So really, that's who this is protecting. This is not protecting bad tenants. If a tenant doesn't file the lease, that's a good cause for eviction. If a tenant doesn't pay the rent, that's a good cause for eviction.
Even before the law passed, the city of Albany already operated under the rules of good cause. Landlords had to get permission from a city court judge to remove a tenant. But council members like Owusu Anani say making that practice permanent by passing it into law is important.
Yes, we definitely want to send a message to future mayors, future legislators, future judges that when it comes to housing is a human right. And we have to protect tenants. There are 60% of residents in the city of Albany are renters, and we want to make sure that we are protecting them.
But some involved in the issue of housing think the measure would do more harm than good if implemented at the state level. One of them is Jay Martin, the executive director of the Community Housing and Improvement Program, or CHIP, which represents property owners in the New York City area.
We've seen when there are stronger laws and preventing more investment, we see that there are actually less rental housing for folks. We actually need to be encouraging more housing to be built. We need more opportunities for people to live in places like Ithaca, Schenectady, upstate, Albany, Rochester, et cetera. So we actually need to be promoting policies and legislation that will actually promote more rental housing instead of less. And that's exactly what Just Cause will do.
In the state legislature, Senator Julia Salazar, a Democrat from Brooklyn, sponsors a similar bill that would enact good cause statewide. Her bill would also prevent eviction statewide if landlords don't give a clear reason for a tenant's removal. It would also require landlords to offer a renewal lease to tenants who are not evicted. And while some think that would reduce access to housing, Salazar says there is no proof to back that up.
Whenever we seek in the legislature to implement more protections for tenants or some version of rent control, the opposition says that this is going to drive down home values and property values. This is going to cause an exodus out of the city. And time again, when we have implemented strong rent regulation in some cases, such as the existing rent regulation system in New York City, that hasn't been the case.
Supporters like Salazar see the idea as a way to protect tenants from losing housing from either eviction or hefty rent increases. Salazar's bill would also prevent landlords from evicting tenants if they raise the rent too much at a time. And while that might seem like a good deal for tenants, Martin from CHIP says that it would cap revenue at a level that may not be sustainable long term.
All this does is allow property owners and lawmakers to be put in a position where they're saying, well, we passed this law, so therefore there are more protections. And in reality, it's virtually guaranteeing rent increases because it's built into the law that says that a property owner has a minimum amount of rent that they'll have to apply for, that they're legally required to have. And so owners will have to go for that rent increase because they'll be concerned that if they ever go for an increase more than that, because the cost to operate demands it, they won't be able to get it because of this new law.
That could change the relationship between tenants and landlords across New York. But for some, that might not be a bad thing. In Albany, Mayor Kathy Sheehan says that since the city started operating under the good cause eviction standard, it has provided peace of mind for both tenants and landlords.
Well, certainly it's about making sure that everybody knows the rules of the road before they go into court. And it sets a very clear set of considerations that judges in the city of Albany have to go through as they oversee an eviction proceeding.
As of now, the bill remains in the State Senate Judiciary Committee and the Assembly Housing Committee, with legislators set to return to Albany in January.